The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah! Go Cowboys! Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Ambar Garcia, Brian Broaddus, Nick Harris, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Monday. It's Tuesday, October 16th, 2024, season 20, episode number 50. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We got our mix-up shows working this week. We got a whole different crew in here for The Break. I got my longtime associate back with me, Mr. Nick Eatman, who has not been on The Break for, a year now because he's been doing some other show, I don't know, Storyline or something, and charging me for T-shirts and all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't know. It's just crazy. But great job on that show. Love it. I've been listening. It's good stuff.
Thank you.
People should check it out.
And we're doing it here in an hour.
Yeah, so I made you do double duty these 2 days because I'm like, I wanted to have you back on The Break, so here you go.
You love what you do, you never have to work, right?
Exactly. I love that quote.
That's exactly right. Tommy Yarrish, the newest member of the DallasCowboys.com team. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, man.
What's up?
Tell the folks a little bit about your background, like where you came from, how you got here. Of course, you're a Longhorn, which
Me too.
That's the biggest.
Right, we got a lot of Longhorns.
We got 3 Longhorns here. I'm so sorry to box you out here. But
I'm okay.
He's okay until the week we play.
Until the week we play.
Yeah,
then things aren't going to be okay. But no, I covered Texas for 2 years while I was in school there, and done some play-by-play work at the high school level as well. And just super excited to be here, working for the Cowboys and working with Cowboys Nation.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the crew. And, of course, Bonnie Jill Laflin comes from Girls Talk, Boys Talk.
Yes, sir.
Tell the folks a little bit on The Break about you and your background and interesting background, but tell them a little
making
bit.
full circle. I was a cheerleader for the Cowboys back in the 90s with Aikman Smith and Irvin, and we were winning a lot of Super Bowls.
Days?
Yeah. Well, I like to reminisce about those days. And now, I'm back in Texas. I was covering the Niners for 10 years. Don't hate me. And then now I'm here. I'm happy to be back covering the team that I love, America's team, and happy to be here at The Break.
Awesome. We got our crew here today. We'll be on for today and tomorrow covering the team. We got a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. I like to do big picture kind of things whenever we have these mix-up shows just to kind of mix in some opinions. Right. So I have a lot of questions for you guys that we'll get into just to give people a good idea of where this team is right now at The Break. Not just so much about what happened in the last game, because obviously that wasn't very good, but they're just looking at it overall, looking at the entire team, and then what they'll have to do in the next part of the season in order to get themselves back on track. Nick, first this morning, Jerry had an interview on the Fan. It was tense. It was
July 4th.
You texted me and was like, "Are you listening?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm listening." And it was very intense. What was your takeaway, I guess, from that?
Fireworks for sure, but this stemmed from Sunday too, because after the game, some of the questions he didn't really love those as well. Obviously upset because of the loss and the way the team got manhandled in the game. So it kind of stemmed over some of the questions. Really, the theme that I took from it is there's not going to be a lot of huge changes as far as personnel-wise. Players, coaches, they asked about the coaching changes. Like, why would I do that? Not changing that. And then as players, his basically answer was where? Where do you go get players? Bill Parcells used to always say you can't just go to the gas station down the street and pick up players. And they have already done that. They've gotten those guys. So, that was kind of the theme that I took out of it. I don't know what y'all thought, but it was more like, hey, it's got to get better within, but this is who we've got for the most part, and we've got to fix it right here.
Yeah, and I think he said he was happy with the players he has because he's seen how effective they can be, and that he thinks that there's obviously some rookies and some growing pains. However, this is the team, and he knows that this is a team that he thinks can eventually, go to the playoffs or deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think the interesting part for me was there's a lot of commonality in terms of what Jerry talked about and what Mike McCarthy talked about yesterday in terms of the offensive line specifically, taking some time to marinate. Obviously, Tyler Guyton wasn't able to start, but Jerry said this morning that he is the left tackle for the Dallas Cowboys. So Tyler Smith probably expected to move back to guard. I know we'll talk about that a little bit later, but that's the position that I think this team is looking to try and marinate so that when they get in rhythm, it's a unit that we know and love, like the Cowboys have been over the last
works.
couple of
You
years.
know, everything works
right?
better with an offensive line.
Right.
Exactly. But when you've got two rookies up front, you know it's going to take time, right?
course.
And something that Mike McCarthy harped on yesterday was that the youth on this team is going to pay off in the long term. These are valuable reps that these guys are getting. So, patience is something that, may be running a little bit thin, but in the long run, it is what's going to pay off.
Yeah. When you look at the lines, I guess, on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, I think that's where a lot of the problems are stemming at this point. Offensively, I think, as you said, you got a lot of inexperience and they're having to figure it out. Defensive side, you're compromised. You just don't have as many bodies, particularly on the edges, as you usually do. So I think it doesn't go much farther than the line. You hear this from football people all the time. It's about the trenches, what's happening in the trenches. And right now, the Cowboys just aren't playing their best football in the trenches, and that's why you're seeing, I think, some of the results that you're seeing. And I don't know if you're going to fix that by going out and picking up whoever's out there, wherever they are at this point of the year. That's a hard thing to be able to do at this point, to try to rectify that with personnel. You just have to hope those rookies come along and get better on the offensive line, and then pray that you get your defensive ends back from injury that you're missing, and hopefully that's enough. But man, it's a tough situation to be in, because that I don't think anybody enjoyed what happened on Sunday from the Cowboys' perspective. So.
Yeah, especially the way you got, bullied, basically by a team like that has been bullied their entire franchise. I mean, that's what it is, and that's why I thought it was kind of interesting when you're like, well, Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, did they run it up the score? Did they embarrass them? I mean, this is an organization that's been embarrassed their entire life. The Lions. That's how many times has that happened to them? Yeah. So you can't come back now and be like, look what they did. No, that's what they've done. Right. They've learned because they've been on the other side, and rightfully so. And they took it to the Cowboys. The bye helps, but I think the Niners are kind of play the same type of way.
They are.
And they've been
red
bullied.
zone problems.
Right.
Yeah.
So fix the problems quickly, because the Niners come and they really don't care. And you've been on that other side of that rivalry. They don't really seem to care what the Cowboys are going through right now.
No.
I wouldn't think.
No, they don't.
Ain't nobody feeling sorry for you?
But they have their own issues as well, and them coming off the bye, it's going to help them, because they've got Christian McCaffrey, who they don't even know is going to come back this season, but they've got Mason, a running back that's able to kind of fill in, which you look at some teams in the NFL, they've got these third-string, fourth-string running backs that are able to impact, where the Cowboys seem to keep struggling with finding a running back. Pollard, I didn't think was going to be a big loss, I'm going to say, because he wasn't like an every down back. But now we're seeing, we kind of need him back, right?
Yeah, but the thing about that, to me, it's not so much the running back in San Francisco. It's the scheme. I was telling somebody this the other day, and I don't know.
It's the running back, because he's sitting on my fantasy team. It is the running back. It's not the scheme.
But Nick, you will appreciate this. I'm not sure if Tommy's too young for this, but you remember back in the day of the Broncos under Shanahan, right?
Yes.
It was like every year in fantasy, you would just say, who's the running back for the Denver Broncos this year? Pick him first. You're going to have a great year. Yeah. I mean, that's when you got the guys like Reuben Drones, who, by all accounts, was not
scary.
Yes, these weren't going to be necessarily great, running backs. But in that system, they know how to run the ball in that system. And so I think it's not surprising to me that Mason is. I think he's either first, second, third, somewhere in there in rushing in the NFL this season. Yeah, I mean, that's not surprising to me, because that system, they just know how to get the most out of the running game. And part of it starts with the offensive line, but you can put whoever you want back there at running back. Right. If they're a one-cut guy that knows how to get upfield quick, they can run in that offense and they can be successal. And I think that's not a surprise.
This system isn't that way.
No, it's not.
When I watch the Monday night game, in any game, it feels like everybody's got a really fast, quick running back, and I'm like, we just don't see that type of play. Even Rico Dowdle, he's the fastest of the group or the quickest, but you don't see him in the open field like that. Every time when I watch even the backup for the Bills last night that came in, Davis, and of course Breece Hall, but I mean, like, they're so fast and quick. I'm like, you need that kind of juice here at the running.
You don't think Rico has that though? I kind of do, and I just don't think he's getting a chance to really show it as much.
What, with him?
Yeah.
You would. I'm kidding.
I'm trying to keep my job around.
I'm kidding.
Tommy's in a no-win situation in this show. He's dealing with his boss and his boss's boss. We put him in a bad situation.
I mean, y'all see. I just don't see that enough out of him, out of Rico. But
Well, Schottenheimer always says that he's hitting the hole too fast. He needs to have patience and then wait for the hole to open up. And so there's things I think that he's still trying to develop with his O-line. And that's what I think. Schottenheimer said that many times, his patience and virtue. So
yeah.
Well, I mean, it all starts with the offensive line, right? You said earlier, you win games in the trenches in the NFL, really across all levels of football, right? If you have a good offensive line, a good defensive line, you're going to win games. And it's part of the reason why San Francisco's scheme works so well, not just Kyle Shanahan, being able to run the ball so well, but they've got a great offensive line, and they make gaps for Mason and any running back they've got in there. I mean, any of the four of us could suit up in that uniform and probably run for a good 60, 70 yards.
Nick's got a bad calf.
Yeah.
Well, Trent Williams will help you out. But, in terms of the Cowboys, I think something interesting that I took away from Mike McCarthy yesterday was saying that he wants to get Rico Dowdle more touches. And it was kind of surprising to me. I don't know about you guys, the fact that he only got 5 last week after he has a career game against the Steelers. He still goes for 25 yards, runs for 5 yards a carry. Ezekiel Elliott had more touches than he did. I know that the Cowboys had said, hey, we're saving Ezekiel Elliott for when we need him. But in this game, I didn't see a situation where they necessarily needed him to get the run game going. If you're going to lean on a guy to get the run game going, you go on the guy who just had 87 yards on the ground for you in the best run game he's had in his career. Yeah. So that puzzled me a little bit. I think that Mike McCarthy maybe leaned away from the run a little bit too early. I was telling Nick about this yesterday when the Lions went up 17-3 after that Sam Laporta touchdown. They ran the ball one time for no gain the rest of the first half.
Yeah.
I understand you're in a hole and you've got to try and move the ball downfield and score quickly, but your passing game's not going to open up if your run game is non-existent. If you're one-dimensional, it's just not going to work for you. So, that kind of raised my eyebrow a little bit. But if Rico Dowdle gets more touches and he really can be leaned on more to try and establish this run game, I think that helps. And with a young offensive line that's just trying to get better, getting them those run blocking reps is going to help too in the long term of their development.
Yeah, because Nick, that's our only choice really. When you think about it, it is Rico. And if we all, like what you said, Tommy, if you don't have the running game, you can't open up the offense. You can't do play action. You put pressure on Dak. The receivers, there's no separation, between receivers and the DBs. I mean, it causes so many problems, and we can't establish the run, Derek.
I wish they had like Hard Knocks going on right now, so we could. I want to know really like
what they're saying behind the scenes.
Dalvin Cook is what I want to know.
I want him to be elevated.
I got a question about that.
Well, that's the big question. Like, what is it? Because I always say they see and they're in the meetings and they're on the field. They see more than we do, and they evaluate it. So they know the situation. I just want them to share it with us because I don't know what's going on. Because it's not like can't get them on the field. No, they're begging for a running back to get on the field.
And he's proven. He's effective. He's quick. He's versatile. And he even says, he's like, they kept saying that he needed to know the terminology, the playbook. He goes, I'm ready. When I spoke to him in the locker room, he said, I'm ready to make an impact. He goes, I know I can help this team.
Yeah.
Why aren't we trying that?
Well, I think that the interesting part for me is I wonder if part of this is if you look at Zeke and you look at Dalvin Cook, you say, well, those are two of the same kind of running back. And I don't know if that is the evaluation. I don't know if the Cowboys would be in a position where they would want to say, okay, we're going to make Zeke Elliott inactive. Because do you really need two of those guys active, especially right now? You got so many injuries that you're dealing with. Do you really want to make both those guys active when they kind of play a similar role, right? And so that's where I look at it. I just don't know if how the Cowboys evaluate Zeke in that whole Dalvin Cook thing. Mm-hmm. I think they believe that Zeke still has a role on this team, whether they're using him in that way or not. I think they still feel like he has a role on this team, and because of that, I don't think that they're willing to necessarily make him inactive to put Dalvin up. Now, I think a lot of fans, and probably myself included, want to see. We just want to see. It's just just let me see what Dalvin Cook. They're seeing it in practice. I just want to see it for myself. Can Dalvin Cook add something to this offense that's not there right now? I just don't know if they're willing to pull that trigger.
But there is a reason they signed him to the practice squad, right? They do.
Yeah,
know
but that may be an insurance policy, right? They could be looking at, as we keep going, we know Rico. One of the things about Rico is he hasn't been able to stay healthy. They may be looking at that as that's their insurance policy, break glass in case of emergency type thing, and that's the way they're looking at it. Again, these are all suppositions because they're not really saying much on why they're not putting Dalvin Cook out there, but those would be the things that I would at least.
But I'm with you. I want to see.
I want to
be able to see.
We all want to see, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in their way that you wouldn't want to. I mean, you've got to get better. I mean, we even want to see Deuce Vaughn. I think we've seen that enough, but you just want to see something better than this because Rico, Zeke, it's not working. They're either the last or second to last in the league in rushing. They were last 2 weeks ago, probably back to last again. So it's not good enough.
All right, we're gonna go ahead.
Well, I'll just kind of hypothetical before we go to break. let's say we do bring Dalvin Cook up. If he doesn't get the touches, what difference is it going to make, right? I think that's been part of the problem, is that the run game hasn't been established, so Cowboys get in a hole where they feel like they can't establish the run game. They just go back to throwing the ball.
Yeah, but it's like chicken and egg theory. I mean, how do you establish the run without establishing the run? I mean, how do you know it's established if you don't run the ball? So that's always been kind of the problem here. But I mean, this is the time to try some new things, and if you're not bringing in other players, go with what you have, and he's still here.
Well, the other part to that too is, if you remember back, I think it was during training camp when Mike McCarthy was talking about the running game, and he said we're going to have to be committed to it. And to me, when I look at that, I say they aren't showing a commitment to it, because way too many times we've heard this year, well, the game got us out of it. The game got us to a position where we couldn't do it. My thought is, in that game last week, you're getting your butt whooped. Mm-hmm. Trying to throw the ball 40 times wasn't necessarily going to get you back in that game. You probably would have been better served at that point when maybe you're down 17 points, 21 points, whatever the case might have been, to say, okay, let's slow this thing down a little bit. Let's try to run the ball. Yeah. If you're really committed to it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm like, there could have been opportunities. I remember Jason Garrett used to do that. There would be times in games, even when the Cowboys were down, when he would go on a drive with literally they would just run the ball, and they did it effectively. Mm-hmm. And that could sometimes slow the game down enough for them to get it back into a workable situation where now you can try to really start working your offense again. And I just don't think the Cowboys are doing that this year. I think when it comes to the score, I think quickly it can get them out of their running game, and they just won't worry about it. They won't go back to it. And that's not really a commitment to the run, as I think they want to, or at least they're saying that they want to.
That's a great point. And helps our defense not have to stay on the field so long.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, I got a lot of questions for you guys. We're going to talk about this team, where they are, where they have to be as they come back off the bye. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code Cowboys VIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code Cowboys VIP.
Don't put off getting your oil change, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. There's no appointment needed and no waiting room. Yep, you heard that correctly. Take 5 is so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's fast, friendly, and simple service at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to the break.
LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game, but don't take our word for it. Digital Trends said the LG OLED G4 has the best picture quality they've ever seen. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED OLEDDEVO.
Whoa.
Sorry, there's a lot.
There's a lot going on there. It's like a Morse code there.
We love our folks over there at
Yes.
LG. We actually got a chance to meet them. Me and Amber, we got a chance to meet them on the sideline before the game. They were out there.
Yeah.
And, we love the break. So
Nice.
join the crew. A lot of people
How
love
much
the
do
break.
they love the break? I mean, do you have
Oh, they love the break a lot.
Do you have LG in your living room?
Yes, I do, actually.
There we go.
From them?
I have it no, I do not have it from them.
Okay.
I knew
And
we were
if
going with
they
that.
would love to upgrade me,
Man, I'd
I'm
drive a
always
Ford,
down. I'm
but I
always
mean-
down to be
I'm
upgraded.
also interested.
But yes, I have one in my living room. I also have one in my media room. So I got
at that.
I got LG everywhere. So yeah,
Cool.
love LG.
It's hard to get a free stuff if you tell them all the stuff you have.
Well, they're older models, so
Yeah.
they want to upgrade me. I'm ready for the upgrade.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back. Second segment of the break live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. This segment is brought to you by blockchain.com. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I got some questions for you guys. I'm gonna run them down. Feel free to chime in as you choose. This first question: which has been the bigger problem for the Dallas Cowboys, the rushing offense or the rushing defense?
Oh. Well, go for it, Tom.
I would say the rushing defense. And I understand that it's hard to say that because of several things. One, you face some of the best running teams in the league to start off the year. And two, you're shorthanded on defense. But the simple fact of the matter is that there's nothing coming out of it. I mean, teams are just running all over Dallas, and they have no answer. It doesn't matter who's on the field. And I think that even when you look back at some of the earlier games when Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence were out there, they were still struggling to defend the run. You think about that Baltimore game where they have, nearly 300 yards on the ground between, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. Obviously, that's I said, one of the harder rushing duos to stop. But it seems like there's just no answer regardless of who's on the field. We've seen DeMarvion Overshown have some plays where you look and you say, okay, yeah, we see it, but then somewhere, he's just not there and he's not making an impact. The interior of the defensive line, Mozzie Smith had a really good game a couple of weeks ago, but there's still, growing pains that are set to be there, right, with those first and second year guys that Mike McCarthy talked about getting those valuable reps. So I think the rushing defense for me is what can improve more heading into this bye weekend into San Francisco.
I'm going to go rushing offense just because it seems if you watch these teams, they know we don't have a run game, so they kind of just sit back and attack the passing, over and over and over again, and that's why we tend to have to come from behind. And we all know, we spoke about this already, not to reiterate, but the fact that the running game kind of sets the whole tone, for us to be able to have the play action, to open up the offense, to alleviate some pressure off Dak. Dak's now holding on to the ball too long because he knows we can't run the ball. So I think for me, it's definitely the rushing game is a struggle and a problem.
This reminds me of me taking the SAT when it was like the English portion and the math, and I struggled on both sides. I don't know which part was the worst.
It's worse.
It's okay. I still got a degree barely, but both. I mean, it's both.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are both right. I mean, I like you're saying those points. I'm like, yeah, totally agree. And then you said that, I'm like, yeah, I think it's that too. I would probably lean on the rush defense just because on the passing game, I mean, you got these guys that should at least help the offense a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you cannot stop the run, you really can't do anything. And because they don't have to throw, and they're not. Baltimore didn't really have to throw. The Saints threw when they wanted to, but they also ran it too. And so that's probably the most alarming thing. Yeah, when does Micah come back? When does Tank come back? Great. But they were part of the problem too.
Exactly.
It's kind of like that year that Wade Phillips got fired and Romo got hurt, and it was like, well, Romo got hurt. They were 1-5 when Romo got hurt. So it's like the problems were there that whole year too. It wasn't just that.
Yeah.
And so problems are there. They're gonna have to fix that.
New Orleans game, they were full go, and it was bad.
The problem that I see, and I don't know if you can talk to the league about this, but you only play the Giants twice.
Yeah.
If
Can
you
we get more of those?
Yeah.
That's what you need, because you can play the Giants more, it'd be better.
I agree
The run
with that.
defense looked great.
Right.
That's
Of course,
a good
everybody
answer.
got hurt.
That's true.
Everybody got hurt in that game.
True.
That's a good answer.
What do
Used
you
to be
think, Derek?
Washington and the Giants.
What do you
Yeah.
think?
I think it's run defense, and the reason why is not so much because one is worse than the other, but when you're playing football, I've seen teams be successful that had no rushing offense. I've never seen a team in the NFL be successful that can't stop the run. If you can't stop the run, that's like the first thing. If you can't stop the run, then everything else is just gonna just going to be a problem because the opposing offense knows that their whole playbook is now open to them because if they're running the ball effectively, now play action works.
Everything.
Now they can get you deep. There are so many things you can do if you got your running game going that are limited if you don't have your running game going. So I look at that and I say that one thing is probably affecting this entire team more than anything else. Just their inability to be able to stop the run on a consistent basis, no matter who they're playing.
I think I'm still frustrated because we didn't sign Derek Henry, so that's my.
Hey, bygones.
Right.
I mean,
bygones.
Exactly.
I think you make a good point about you don't necessarily have to have a run game to be able to win games and throw the ball around. Look at this team. They have 2 wins where they don't necessarily run the ball very well, and Dak Prescott, who was I think 3rd in the league in passing yards coming into this game, just tosses all over everybody and it wins you football games. So, but at the same time, now that does become, I don't want to say the identity of the offense because it's too early in the season to really put a label on that, and we'll see if they can get the run game going. But, like she said, if you know that that's what it is coming in, then it's going to get easier to stop, and you don't need to load up the box as much.
Yep. You think about it, and I hate sometimes making this comparison because I understand, before anybody says, I understand you're talking about the best quarterback in the league. But the Chiefs are a good example of how you don't necessarily have to have a great running game. If you can establish a passing game that scares people, it will create more in your running game. Isaiah Pacheco is not a great running back. He's very, very, very serviceable in that offense, right? They have a defense that they've improved over time, and now their defense is, I think, really, really good. And so they have a defense that can play well. They can play complementary style of football. And on their offense, because you're so afraid of their quarterback and so afraid of their tight end, you can actually get away with having an okay running back that looks really good in that offense, right? So I guess that's the point I'm making, whereas you can figure out how to make the run game work. You cannot make it work if you can't stop the run.
Yeah, that's true. And also, you said that about the Chiefs. I think that's so important. I think having a great tight end is probably the most important thing you can really have in a dynamic offense. Because I think when Kelsey's really on his game, doing his thing, it's so hard to stop just how versatile they could be. You kind of thought Jake Ferguson was going to take, I'm not saying to the Kelsey level, but take that next leap. And so far, he really hasn't done that yet. But, I mean, it's early. It's still early in the year. No one really has. But I was kind of hoping he would take a little bit more of that step this year. Because if he can do that, I think that really does open so many things because it's so hard to stop when you have multiple tight ends out there you can play any style you want.
Yeah, I would actually, if I were the Cowboys, I'd actually target him a little bit more. I would actually create plays for him because I agree with you. I think when you get a tight end rolling, it does something to a defense because a defense can be made to kind of try to take away a wide receiver. They have to do a lot of things differently in order to take away a tight end who's really killing you. And I think that, and they have to I think Ferguson, what I love about Ferguson is he's a good tight end, but really it's the run after the catch that makes him, I think, better than the average, right? And I think they ought to find more opportunities to let him get the ball in the open field and see what he can do with it.
He's got to catch it, too. I mean, he had to play.
And I've seen him make catches like that where he can twist his body. I don't know why
he's made harder
that.
catches
that
than
was
I think
that was
so
just a bad
too.
one for him. I'll give him that. That was a bad one for him because usually he makes that catch.
He needed that because
we needed it bad.
Because the Lions were playing backyard football. Everything was like, like even the big guys were like, I want the ball. They're like, okay, we'll throw it to 68. They were determined to get 68 a touchdown. But like that
he was
play,
reporting eligible. Like every play, somebody was reporting eligible. I'm like, wow, let's go. All right.
But that play that I'm talking about, they rolled here, then threw it back to Ferguson. You're like, what is he? Okay, well, I'll catch it.
Right.
So that was it. But I mean, the question that you asked, that's the problem is that it is kind of a tough question. Yes, you're right. I'll be right. We're all right on this. The running game is terrible, and the run defense is terrible. It's not a good recipe.
No, it's not.
I mean, it's kind of surprising. I mean, when you have a really bad running game and a really bad run defense, and you're 3-3, it's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Because you want to play those teams again.
Those teams that you beat.
Right.
Let's make that clear.
To be just 3-3 is surprising.
Yeah. All right, let's take our final break. We'll come back. I'm going to ask you guys about this offense and what you think is a bigger problem: protection, lack of a running game, or turnovers. We'll talk about that when we come back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a Pepper thing.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
All right, AT&T is connecting, changes everything.
Welcome back. It is the final segment of the break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. For those who are a little bit confused and joined the show late, yes, this is still the break. We just don't have our normal show.
They might be thinking it's Talking Cowboys because of the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah,
That's
everything's
true.
off, right? Everything's off. The time and the folks that you're seeing here.
Yeah.
This is our show. We mixed it up this week. Today and tomorrow, all of our shows will have different lineups. You will see the same host for each of the shows, but all the other folks on those shows will be different. It's our opportunity to be able to kind of mix some opinions and give you guys an opportunity to hear.
It's fun.
Here's some other conversations in what you typically hear on the shows. Girls Talk, Boys Talk is a place you can hear Bonnie Jill regularly. Nick, you can hear him on Storyline. Tommy just got here, so we're trying to figure out where we're going to fit him in. So far, I'm liking it. I might have to call from the bullpen and be like, "Hey, Tommy, I need Tommy. Give me Tommy."
I'll throw 100 down the middle.
There we go.
Yeah,
Paint
he
the
might
corners,
be
actually,
that
maybe
middle relief on every show.
There we go.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like now it's like, wait a second, and he's gonna have to get like an assistant. Like, all right, you gotta book Tommy in advance. You can't just say
right.
Yeah.
Do I get
Get with Nick.
Do I get the Edwin Diaz trumpet as I come down to the
Yes.
studio if I get called in?
Yes.
I like that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, here we go.
The funny thing is, the guy who sings is called Tommy Trumpets.
That's
There you
right.
go.
it
Here we go.
is.
And
There's
he
a
just
new nickname.
now he has a nickname. We like
Tommy
nicknames around here.
Trumpets.
Tommy
So,
Trumpets. Here we go.
I've gotten
I was gonna
Clark
call him
Kent.
Hilton.
Yeah, I've gotten
Hilton.
Clark Kent, I've gotten T.Y. Hilton, I've gotten Harry Potter, and now
Harry
Tommy
Potter.
Trumpets.
Tommy
all
Trumpets.
in 1 week of
Yeah.
being here.
We
so.
like nicknames around here.
Yeah.
We love giving people nicknames. All right, let's
Tommy
get back to the.
Trumpets. That's pretty
I
good.
like that one.
That's
pretty
good, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Here's the next question I have for you guys. Which do you guys think is the bigger problem for the passing offense right now? Protection, lack of a running game, or turnovers? And that would be Dak, the wide receivers, because I don't know if you can necessarily say in those situations if it's Dak or the wide receivers, but they're off. They're off. Whatever's happening with those, they're off. What do you think is a bigger problem for the passing offense?
Can I pick 2?
Sure.
I think
Put them in order, though.
Okay, I think protection. Protection.
Sounds like
would
he's
be-
ordering at a restaurant. I went to a chicken instant.
Yeah, well, just because I think they kind of obviously all three coincide, right?
Yep.
I think the biggest issue and I guess that takes away the 2. Well, I would say protection. This is a rookie-heavy offensive line. They've got 2 at the center and left tackle position. Those are 2 of the most important positions on your offensive line, right? You've got to get the snap from your center, and you've got to have protection on your blind side. And so when you're dealing with growing pains there and guys trying to get up to the NFL level, get sped up, and also play some really elite edge rushers here to start through these first 6 games of the season, these guys have been thrown right into the fire. And obviously, there's going to be bad reps that come with that. And we've seen that from Cooper Beebe and Tyler Guyton. And Dak Prescott then forced to be on the move a little bit and move outside the pocket and make some back foot throws. I think, we talk about that pass to Jake Ferguson that he dropped earlier in the game. That throw was off his back foot across the entire length of the field. That should have been intercepted, I think. And so... But that also leads to things like turnovers. And more specifically, I'm going to expand and make it red zone turnovers.
That's what I was going to say.
Points are being taken off the board. You've got at least 3 points in your back pocket with a guy like Brandon Aubrey kicking field goals. And Dak Prescott has kind of uncharacteristically turned the ball over when the Cowboys get down there. So really, I think those 2 jive very well. And it's something that I don't need to say has to be fixed. It obviously, that goes without saying. But you also think some of those red zone turnovers have been because that pocket collapses for Dak. He's got to go out and try to make something happen. And some of it is on Dak, too. That throw to CD, I think he stared CD down the whole time where he had Tolbert in the flat. And you're supposed to look there first. That allows Brian Branch to come up. Instead, he makes a heck of a play diving in the back of the end zone. But uncharacteristic start from Dak, but I think the offensive line struggles are part of it too.
I think it's been the fact that Dak and CD are just not on the same page is a huge problem too. And one of them was at training camp, one of them wasn't, and I think we all know the situation there. But CD, I think he was somewhat ready to play as far as physically, but as far as understanding what they're trying to do, the timing of things just hasn't been there. And so, you put that on both of them, really. And so I'm tired of hearing Dak say that they're not practicing well. I don't understand that.
Numerous times.
And so that I'm putting that on Dak too. Or as the leader, that's part of it. He keeps calling them out, but they're calling them out at the wrong, when are you really calling them out? And really and I don't put it all on Dak because he can practice a certain way, but he's, this is a coaching thing as well, is that this team isn't practicing well. You're getting beat on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of a week.
But, I think there's a lot of gray area in that too. Like when you say not practicing well, that could be a lot of different things. Like, are you unfocused? Or are you literally just not performing well? Like, is it just like everybody's out there, everybody's into it, everybody's working hard, but balls are on the ground.
The effort's there, but it's not executing.
Yeah, they're not executing well in practice. Like, there's a lot of different gray areas on what he really means by they're not practicing well. I'd love to know that because I think that helps me understand maybe where the problem is. Is it a mental problem or is it actually they're just not very good?
And I have an interesting stat too. I want you to finish. Okay. Go to your point, but I have a stat afterwards that I thought's interesting about preparation.
Go ahead. No, I'll jump on after.
I looked at the opening drives to start the game.
Yeah.
Cowboys first 6 games, both the opponent and their offense to start the game. They're getting outscored 31-6. They've only had 2 field goals
in the first
six drives of the 6 games, and the opponents have got 31 points. Go to the third quarter, it's 30-9. 30 points they're giving up, only 9, only 3 field goals there.
Starting and finishing.
So 61-15 is the first drive of each. That's when you're supposed to prep. Definitely to start the game.
Yeah.
And the opponent has scored on every single drive to start the game. Even the Browns, even the Giants, Pittsburgh, they've all started at least with a field goal, but they're driving down and they're scoring points. And the other 4 teams are scoring touchdowns. So it's bad.
Wow.
And so that's a preparation thing, coaching, team, whatever it is. And even in the third quarter, it's not getting fixed either. So
I would want to know that too. Coming out of the halftime, is it the same thing? Or are you seeing the same?
I might have flipped it. First half, I think, might be 30-9. The second half is 31-6. But either way, it's 61-15. You're getting outscored. So preparation's not been good at all.
Yeah, piggybacking off of Tommy, but definitely protection. I think it's, if you look at that Brian Branch play, that literally, I think that was very pivotal in the whole game. I think it shifted the whole, everything in that whole game, and the fact that you can see that Dak is looking at his first read and kind of getting focused on that and doesn't now look at the rest of the field like you're, saying with Tolbert in the flat. So I think that protection, and then that causes everything to kind of trickle down. It's a domino effect.
And here's another thing that I wonder about too, because Dez did this too early on when Dak's career, and Dak was younger. Dez was the established veteran, and there were times where Dez would be chirping a lot, and then the next game they'd throw it to him 15 times, and he'd catch like 5 or 6, and you're forcing the ball to him. And I kind of wonder if we're getting to that point now where you're tired of seeing and hearing the jump ball Dak, jump ball stuff like that, where Tolbert might have been the better play there, and it was second down, right? I believe second down.
It was second down.
Or maybe, was it third down?
No, I think it was second down.
Second down. So I don't know if Tolbert scores, but it's going to be close. He has to make the guy miss. But he's just kind of,
I see where you're going
you know
with
what I
this,
mean?
yeah.
Are you like,
in your head
you just want to shut the guy up.
Yeah.
So let's throw it up, CD, but that's not really the right play. And the other team knows it too. They know that they want to throw the CD. I just hope that we're not getting to that point where Dak is kind of like, you're just sort of forcing it there when it's really not the right play.
But I wouldn't think so.
I hope not.
And the reason why I wouldn't think so is because I think there's probably 28 teams in the NFL where you've got a receiver who is chirping a lot. Like, that's just the nature of the position. You can't do your job. And I don't think it's a bad thing. You can't do your job as a receiver unless you're getting the ball, right? So I think there's probably all these guys that play in the NFL, play the wide receiver position, and like, hey, man, I'm open.
Yeah.
I'm open. Give me the ball. I'm open.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the nature of wide receivers. Probably starting at high school. Give me the ball. Give me the ball. Give me the ball. Quarterback grows immune to that. Like, I don't think the good quarterbacks, like, it's like, yeah, I got you, bro. I see you over there.
Yeah.
We're good. I just hope that's not. I wouldn't think that would be something that would change how Dak approaches the game.
Well, also, too, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Tom, if you had a point, but I mean, it's 53 yards. That's how wide it is.
Yeah.
Why do we have the guys too close together? Why could one guy cover Tolbert and CD, and then the other play where Schoonmaker and somebody are just hitting each other?
That's the difficulty of the red zone, right? That's the difficulty of the red zone. It's what you always tell me when we're watching a game and it's first and goal at the 9 or first and goal at the 10. You're like, field goal.
Yeah, right.
Because the
scoring.
field is compressed, and now a guy that's covering the flat can also cover the back of the end zone. That's the problem.
Which is
you got a compressed field.
Which is wondering why. Trayvon Diggs is playing 10 yards off the ball on a play like at the 10-yard line.
That wasn't the question. We're going to get to that later.
Sorry.
That's tomorrow.
We're going to get to that.
Okay.
Why are you killing all my show prep?
Sorry. I'm just speeding this along.
All right. Did everybody get a chance to answer that?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right. I don't know if we have time, but we're going to dive into this question real quick. And this isn't a quick question, but we're going to try anyway. Name the 5 best offensive linemen on this team.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'll start. Tyler Smith. Okay, you guys go. I got.
That's
Tyler.
such a Nick Eatman
just
answer.
5 Tyler Smiths.
Zach Martin, but he's just not playing at the Hall of Fame level. He isn't. He's trailing off.
He's still
not,
in your top 5.
Yeah, but he's got to be.
You're right. He's not playing well. He's still in your top 5.
That was a rough one.
I mean,
that was the roughest I've seen.
You gonna go with Brock Austin though?
No, absolutely
right.
not. No.
Yeah,
you don't have an answer.
You don't.
I said that yesterday on our show. I was like, that was as rough of a game as I've ever seen from Zach Martin.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, this season has not been the traditional Zach Martin. Now, he did pop up on the injury report last week, and that to me could make some sense. Is this a situation where he's trying to gut one out for the team?
Right, yeah.
And that's why we saw what we saw on Sunday, but that was not
No,
Zach
and he
Martin.
gave up 7 pressure. I think 10 pressures all year last year.
Yeah, that's
total,
not him.
So that's
not
not
him.
it. It's not.
Yeah.
Cooper Beebe, I think, has been. I mean, I know we're grading on a curve a little bit because he's a rookie, but I still think he's played pretty well.
Considering that's not his position.
The one thing I would say is I think there are 2 things for me. One, I think when it comes to like twists and stunts, I think sometimes he's a little like trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And the second part is he seems to be a tick late consistently when he's trying to get to the second level. He kind of like gets that first, initial block. He doesn't trust I'm going to pass this guy off and just go to the second level. He's kind of there a little too long and then doesn't really get there in time to be able to make that second level block that sometimes could spring a run. That's important in the run game. That's the area I want to see him develop. But I also think that's something you can get better at over time. He'll get a better feel. That also works with the more this line works together, the more he'll know I can trust that. Once I get a nice shove on this guy, I'm up to the second level and I can trust my guy to do that. I think those are the kind of things that are just about time.
If that is the worst problem you've got with a rookie center,
right.
I think you take that 10
No
out of
doubt.
10 times.
No doubt.
Because that's stuff that comes with those reps, right? As far as the 5 best, I think the 5 best guys that are going to give you a chance to win long term, Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, Zach Martin, and Terrence Steele. I mean, I understand that they've had their struggles to start the year. I understand that, you look at moving Tyler Smith back to tackle and TJ Basson at left guard. You're kind of like, well, okay, maybe that can work. I think that if you get your rookies the snaps they need, and I completely agree with Mike McCarthy because it's worked for him in the past. It worked for him in Green Bay. It's worked for him everywhere he's been, where playing a lot of young guys eventually is going to look really good. And I know you guys have talked about it on the show and on the draft show where, 2 years from now, we may not look at Tyler Guyton and say, okay, this guy was one of the better picks in the first round of the draft. But 4 years, when it's time for that 5th-year contract talk, you're going to say, okay, yeah, this is a guy who definitely needs it because he's going to be playing really well for you.
And that's the problem that this coaching staff has and Mike McCarthy has. It's like you just said it twice. You said long term, and then you said 4 years from now. Well, who's the coach then? Who's the head coach for this? So do you just say, hey, this will be good. Let's I'll deal with the growing pains now, and then I'll probably get fired. Like if that happens, if they don't win games. And so it's like that's the problem. Do you play the 5 best that'll help you beat the 49ers or the 5 best to develop? And, and that's where ownership and head coach sometimes will have difference of opinion because one of them's definitely going to be here and one of them has to win to stay here.
Right.
But at the same,
and that's the nature of coaching, right?
At the same time, if you don't have continuity with the 5 guys that you've got up front, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
And, the 5 that they trotted out on Sunday is not a bad unit, but if they haven't practiced together, if they haven't played together for as long, then you're still kind of dealing with the same things.
I'm with you, though. I agree with you about Guyton long term, but I think Guyton can win. I think you can win with Guyton now, too. I really do. His things is technique, his hands. Like, he's got to figure out how to hold properly. Everybody holds. Just do it in a way where you don't get called. Yeah. You got to figure out a way to hold the right way. You got to learn how to cheat better. And then he'll do that. And
he's going to get stronger, too. You can tell, like, his core, his balance, he's off. He's not under his feet sometimes. His balance is off, and that's all going to come.
Yeah, I think he has to play. I mean, I still think those 5 would be better for multiple reasons. You're trying to win, but you're also trying to build them. You got to build his confidence. He can't go. I think he has to play.
But the one thing I will say is on Sunday, at least, most of the problems from a protection standpoint appear to come from the right-hand side of the line.
True. It wasn't just them.
And so that's where I'm like, are you better off in a situation where right now, I would say right now, TJ Bass is a better guard than Guyton is a tackle. And because of that, it might be something where if you're trying to win right now and trying to just get some steadiness coming from this offensive line, that should be worth the consideration. Now, I think it does stunt you long term. I think it does. And so that's where you have to, like you were saying, Nick, what happens? That becomes an interesting question.
How about we flip
Are
them?
you interested in possibly, we talked about this on the break yesterday, are you interested in possibly taking Guyton, who played right tackle in college, and now flipping him over to the other side where Terrence Steele struggled quite a bit?
Romo used to say it all the time to the right tackle, don't hold. I see him.
Yeah.
I'll see him. Don't hold him because I'll make him miss. He could also see the backside too, which is kind of weird too. Like
Tony saw everything. It was weird. It was
but
really
I'm
weird.
just saying that might be a better situation there too. Steele, Steele's got problems. He'd have some issues too. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe this is the week to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, if you're gonna.
I think it's something interesting to think about. I don't think that's what the Cowboys will do. I think ultimately they're going to put Guyton back in there. I don't think he was ready to play last week. I think that's why he was out. I think coming out of the bye, I expect him to go back to the line that they had to start the season, and I think they're going to roll with that, and they're going to watch those guys develop. And by the way, it might all work. Question is, does it work fast enough? You need it to be working now.
That's the problem.
Is it going to work fast enough to where you get those rookies really integrated to where they're playing at their best level and Steele can get back to some consistency? Because he's had it at certain points in his career where he's been a consistently good player. Can he get back to that? And then, obviously things settle in a little bit for everybody else and the offensive line starts working. All right, appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back on tomorrow. We got so many more questions to get through. We'll see how fast we get through them tomorrow for Nick Eatman and for Tommy Yarrish, Bonnie Jill Laflin. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow on The Break.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this?